Answer this question honestly. How good are you at games? How about this game? It's pretty easy. All you have to do is balance a circle on a surface, going left or right. Of course, not too soon enough, literally another dimension is introduced, with its own game. Go up or down, and then another, and so on, until there are 6 games. Each game is child's play on its own, but when you're playing all of them at the same time, wait, hold up, let me just say, you're not really playing them all at the same time. Your brain is rapidly switching from one task to another, compartmentalizing all the tasks into sections in itself. You can play reactively and go with the flow, aimlessly some would say, or you can consciously develop a strategy, like moving your eyes to each game in a clockwise motion, making sure not to get caught up in any one game, which is generally why you'll find yourself losing. Oddly enough though, this strategy might as well be like adding another task to keep track of. However you decide to play, it's clear that it'll be intense. Just look at me. My eyes darting around, trying to avoid the hazards coming my way. Watching myself play this game makes me curious to see myself play a different game. Here's League of Legends. Without going into the specifics of gameplay, I, as well as millions of other players, can tell you that there are way more than just 6 variables to it. And yet here I am. Putting them side by side, there's a big difference between the two. Firstly, while playing League of Legends, I have a tendency to lean forward for some reason, despite me trying to stay in frame. Regardless, you still have a view of my eyes. So what's going on here? Look, not really that deep into focus if you ask me. So am I like working harder in this game than in that game? If you want to gauge the cognitive load of a task, trust the eyes. Research has found that pupil dilation is a great indicator of mental effort, as the pupils expand greatly whenever performing a difficult task. In fact, there's an apparent visible limit to the amount of effort you could put into doing something. You can force this upon yourself by mentally trying to multiply what's on the screen right now. You're either not paying attention to me or I'm bothering the hell out of you. This actually isn't that important. Point is, I seem pretty relaxed here. And in my theory, it's that the way I play this game is, I'll just do stuff in lane, kill champions, farm a lot, take towers and win. And when I lean forward, I tense up to focus a little harder. Whereas in multitask, 2 mind you, I'm always tense, and relaxing is what would make me go out of frame. Referencing Daniel Kahnemen's book again, he writes about how the brain defaults to doing things the laziest way possible. Work smarter, not harder, right? But is it really working smarter? And that struck me. It made me think about the lies we tell ourselves to make sure we'll never be happy. But we're not talking about me. This was about you. How good are you at video games? Well, chances are, you're trash. Objectively, that is. Subjectively, though, you may be the best among your friends, or hell, you may even be above average. But if you consider every player that has ever played the game, chances are you're not that high on the hit list. Leaderboard. The highest rank in League, Challenger, is a 200 position automated roster that changes every 24 hours based on a win-lose point system. These are the top 0.0137% of players, and some of them have multiple accounts in that same rank. Streamers who are Challenger will play on lower rated accounts and rant about the skill of players they encounter, as if it's shocking that they aren't up to par with their skills. How many levels into Tetris can you last? Do you think you have any hope of beating someone who can play like this? Or this? This guy is playing and there's no blocks on the screen. Okay, so what separates these gods from the peasants? Is it reaction time to external stimuli? Maybe part of it, but not all. There are pro players with below average reaction times. In a game like League of Legends, a lot of people give credit to APM, actions per minute. Generally, when you say those letters in that order, people think... But surely just because you can type 80 words per minute doesn't mean you'll be a good player, right? Well, there are tools to measure your APM in-game, but these aren't really accurate because actions is very vague. You can just input any command and it counts as an action. So let's try to imagine my APM in a game like multitask, constantly trying not to lose. These are all planned control movements. I'm looking at each square and deciding the best thing to do. And because it's so easy to see what you should do, i.e. press left and right or up and down, you could argue that if I wanted to operate at maximum efficiency, then every second I'm not inputting a command is wasted. But not just any commands, the right commands. Like in chess, you want to check the enemy into a position where they do not have options, making the right moves preferably more often and with better execution than your enemies. When you're not making as much moves as you could, or you get caught on making just one move, it narrows your vision. You have to make the right moves consistently to be considered good. So now the question is, how do I pick the right moves? How do you get good at games? And that's the question I intend to answer.